So the second type is the mailbox. Now, we saw already one type, that is message queuing. The second type in mailbox, it is an alternate form of message queues, and it is used in certain real-time operating system for IPC. This mailbox is actually a one-way messaging. So it is used for IPC in RTOS, and it is one-way messaging. The task or thread which wants to send a message to other task creates a mailbox for posting the message. The thread which wants to uh, send something, what it does, it creates its own mailbox, and whatever it want to post, it will start dumping the messages in that mailbox. So this mailbox is created by the thread which wants to communicate something. Also, it will create one mailbox, and whatever the messages it wants to post, it will dump it in that particular mailbox. Now, the threads which are interested in receiving the messages posted to that mailbox by the mailbox creator can subscribe to the mailbox. So there is one thread which has created a mailbox. Now there are other thread 2, thread 3, thread 4. Now they want to know what is there in that mailbox created by thread 1. So they have to subscribe. So thread 2, thread 3, thread 4, they have to subscribe to that mailbox which is created by thread 1. So whatever thread 1 will be dumping in that mailbox, that will be accessed by thread 2, thread 3, and so on. So in this way, the thread which creates the mailbox is known as mailbox server, and the threads which subscribe to the mailbox are known as mailbox client. So what example I took, thread 1 is a mailbox server, and thread 2, 3, 4 are mailbox clients. This is the second mechanism. What is the third mechanism? Signaling. So signaling is a primitive way of communication between processes and threads. Signals are used for asynchronous notification, where one process fires a signal indicating the occurrence of a scenario, so for which the other processes are waiting. So it is just one notification. For example, we are recharging something, suddenly we get one message, recharge done. It's just a notification. So signals, they are not queued, so they don't have any queue. They don't have any data structures like queue, and they do not carry any data. Just it is a notification. So as soon as we charge, we get one notification. It's done. Or when it is expiring, we get a notification. So it's a notification. It's a signaling. So now these are the three types that we discussed under message passing. The first one was message queue. The second one was mailbox. The third category is signaling. So under the message passing. So now we will see the next and the last category, that is RPC. So let me just give you the link how we are covering it. So under task communications, we had so many things like cooperation through sharing and cooperation through communication. Now coming to this cooperation through communication, we studied about shared memory. That was the first topic. Under that we studied pipes and memory of mapped objects. And the second category was message passing, and that we saw three categories under that. And now we are talking about the third category, that is a remote procedure call, that is RPC and sockets. So RPC, that is RPC is the inter-process communication IPC mechanism used by a process to call a procedure of another process running on the same CPU or on a different CPU, which are interconnected on a network. So here it is a mechanism used by a process to call another process, uh, to call another procedure of another process, which may be present on the same CPU or it may be present on another CPU, which are connected over a network. So this, in object-oriented language terminology, RPC is also known as remote invocation or remote method invocation. So this is a mechanism. These are the terms that we are going to use. So this ends the task communication. So whatever we discussed so far is all about task communication. Now let's go to some of the issues of task synchronization. So here we'll be discussing about task synchronization issues. So let me just take the first one, racing. So imagine a situation where a process switching happens from process A to process B. There is a context switch, means there is a control switching from process A to process B. When process A is executing the counter plus plus statement. So now the issue is not just the context switching, the issue is in what instance the context switch is happening. So when the process A is doing some increment and there is a context switch. Now process A accomplishes the counter A plus plus statement through 3 different low level instructions. Now imagine that the process switching happened at that point when where process A executed the low level instruction move AX, comma D word PTR, and is about to execute the next instruction add EAX, comma 1. So this I'll explain to you with the help of an example and a diagram. So now let us see. Now let's understand the scenario here. We have process A and process B. Now process A is executing some task, something it is executing, and it has come to an instruction wherein it is moving the contents of some memory to EAX. So now what is this EAX, what is DWORD? Let me explain to you. So it's an assembly code. So now we have taken an assembly instruction to understand the scenario. Move EAX, comma DWORD PTR EBP minus 4. EAX is something like register names R1, R2 like that. It is a 32-bit register name, Intel registers. Now EAX and even EBP is also a 32-bit registers. Now just understand this is one register, EAX is one register and EBP is one register. And what are we trying to do? The content of that register, okay, there is some register, the ABP minus 4, there is that register has got some value. And it's in the square bracket, means the contents present in that address is moved on to EAX. So this is also one register. This is source and EAX is the destination. Let me repeat. This instruction, what it is doing, this is a register, it has got some value, it will subtract by 4 and it gets a new value. The content present in that address is moved on to the register EAX. Now assume the value is 2. Assume the value is 2. Now at this point of time, there is a context switch. Assume it has to switch to process B. In that case, now before going to process B, what it does, the register contents will be dumped onto the stack. So you have a separate stack for EAX. So EAX, what is the value it is holding? 2. That is dumped onto the stack. And then the control switches to process B. Now, process B is unaware of what process A does. Again, it does the same thing. Move EAX, comma DWORD, same thing. So it will start afresh. So it will compute some value, okay, and it will get some address. The contents of that address is 2. That is moved on to EAX. So EAX is 2. I'm taking an example. Now, we are adding a value to that EAX register. So now it becomes 2 becomes 3. Now that EAX contents, we are moving it to some memory location. So we are moving. It's a normal code. At this point of time, there is a context switch back to process A. Now, what is the value of EAX? It is 3. Now, before switching from process B to process A, whatever the status of the registers, it has to dump it onto the stack. And this stack is a separate stack meant for B. Now, what it does? So, it will put this contents EAX equal to 3 onto the stack, and then the control is switched back to process A. Now, the EAX had the value earlier also and now also. But now, which value does the process A take? Whether it will take the new value of EAX or the previous value. So, we have to understand one thing. Before the context switch, whatever was the status of the register, it had dumped in stack. So when it gets back the control, it will always refer the stack content. So process A will get back the data present on the stack. What is the value present on the stack? The value is EAX equals 2. So it will take the same value and it will substitute to EAX. So this is the older value of EAX and this is what it will take, because when before going to process B, the value of EAX was 2. So it will take the same value. and then it proceeds further. What is the next operation? Add EAX comma 1. Now it will add 1 to it. Now what is the value? EAX equals 3, and it proceeds. That value will be moved to some other memory location. It continues. So in this way, during context switching, if we try to take the same register and try to increment with the help of stack, it segregates. So here you can see process A will still take the content from the stack meant for process A. Okay, so now let's summarize it. So here we are seeing process B increments the shared value variable counter in the middle of the operation. So you're seeing process B will increment it, where process A tries to increment it. So when process A gets the CPU time for execution, it starts from the point where it got interrupted. Now, if process B is also using the same registers, EAX and EBP, for executing counter, see both the registers are used by both the processes. But see how it is dealing with it. The original content of these registers will be pushed by process B before using it, and the contents will be retrieved after finishing the operation. Now, hence, the content of EAX and EBP remains intact, irrespective of context switching. So it is not affecting that. Though the variable counter is incremented by process B, process A is unaware of it and it increments a variable with the older value. So anyway, this is how it has to work. But the issue is it may lead to loss of one increment of the variable counter. So this is all about the racing concept.